First, a simple favor, and now the rhythm section. I gotta say that Blake Lively is really starting to grow on me. This is the Blake Lively that I want to see from now on. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Talkin Movies. As always, I'm your host, the real Geno Reynolds, and today we're going to be talking about the Blake Lively-led revenge flick, The Rhythm Section. What this movie is about, it's about a young woman who lost her family when a plane went down. She lost her parents and her brother and sister, and this turns her life into this downward spiral for like 3 years. She is on drugs, she turns to prostitution. She was going to be going to like some Ivy League school before all this, and her life is just in shambles. She's approached by an independent reporter who is investigating this plane crash, and it turns out that he believes there was a bomb on the plane and that it was meant to kill somebody on the plane, and all the 200 and some other people, including her family, were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. It also comes to find out that she was supposed to be on that plane ride with them, but she reveals later in the movie that she just didn't want to go. They didn't really delve into why or anything, but she just revealed that she didn't want to be there, and then the plane gets bombed. So the reporter he wants to talk to her. He wants to see what she knows and all this, and but then she goes through his notes and finds who it might be the person that made the bomb, and she goes and buys a gun and goes after him, but doesn't do anything. But he notices her, and it spooks him, and he runs off. She goes back to talk to the reporter, and then she finds he's dead. So she tracks down his source, and which ends up being the person that helps to clean her up and trains her to help her go after these people that killed her family. Okay, I'm going to get the stuff I didn't like about the movie out of the way first. There wasn't a lot. I'm not going to say this is a great movie. You've seen revenge movies like this before, but I'll talk about why I really enjoyed this one here in a minute. But and really, I'm not going to spoil anything here, but what I'm about to say might be considered a spoiler. So I'll say this: I recommend this movie. I thought it was a decent revenge flick. That being said, I really just like revenge flicks in general. Don't go. You've seen the trailer for this. You're probably expecting some super spy assassin, right? That's not really the case. Don't go in expecting this movie to be like a Jason Bourne film or something like that. It's got a very, very slow burn, which might turn some people off. I really enjoyed the slow burn. I enjoyed the character development. Blake Lively was really good in this. Jude Law, of course, he's always dependable. Sterling K. Brown, he didn't get a lot to do, but I liked him in it. So I recommend this movie. I wouldn't say you have to rush to theaters to see it, though. It would make a solid rental if you like revenge flicks. That being said, again, Blake Lively's really good in this. The last couple movies I've seen her in, I've really enjoyed her, and I want to see her do more stuff like this. So I recommend the movie, but it's not going to be for everybody, especially the pacing of it. So what I'm about to say, again, could be considered somewhat of a spoiler. The whole time in this movie, they're looking for this unidentified collaborator to this bombing. And you get to a point in the movie where it can only be like one of three people. And you could, and you could probably get one of them out of the way real quick, that it's not going to be this person. So that really only leaves two. And I was afraid it was going to be one, and I would have hated it. I was glad it was the other one. But like I said, the predictability of, well, it can only be so many people I would have rather it been like some unconnected person. Just, you don't need to set up this person, but it only ends up, it can be one of like two or three people. And that, to me, that was a bit disappointing. That being said, at least they chose the right one for it to be this unidentified person. So I didn't like that. And also the movie, I wouldn't say it was like the Bourne movies type shaky cam bad, but there was some shaky cam in this, and I thought we were getting past shaky cam. Though it didn't bother me too much. There was just a few times where there was a little too much shaky cam for me. Okay, what did I like about this movie? Blake Lively, first of all. Again, don't go in expecting her to be this super assassin, right? Here's the thing, okay? She's drugged out. She's been on drugs for at least part of, if not all three of these years since her family died. And when she finally gets to training with Jude Law's character, they only train for 8 months. So, the whole time isn't even spent training as a fighter. And they even talk about this because she's like, how long will it take me to learn everything I need to know? And he's like, well, you'll be past menopause. So, not the whole time's not even training, though, because she has to get off the drugs. And so he first works that out of her and basically detoxes her. And then they start to train. He starts to have her run, and she could barely run. And so the training is, the way he explains is like, I'm going to give you enough to survive. Whether or not you will, that's the thing. He's like, don't expect to know everything. She asks him, when are you going to teach me how to fight? And then he proceeds to beat the crap out of her. And that's training. He just says, look, aim for anything you can poke. Aim for anything, or grab anything sharp you can use to stab. And if they're a dude, kick them in the grapefruits. That usually works, he says. So yeah, the whole thing isn't her being invincible, because when she finally gets on the job, she is far from invincible. She makes mistakes. She gets her butt handed to her multiple times. She has a conscience about the violence, about killing people. There's someone she runs across that has kids, and he starts begging. And there's a reason why Jude Law's character told her, gas him first, then kill him, because he wanted this guy to shut up so he wouldn't be able to talk his way out of her killing him, and the guy does. So she has a conscience, and really it gets to a point where something happens, and because Jude Law's character has to do something to cover up for her mistake, and she doesn't like it, so she kind of goes out on her own, at least for a time. And the way she handles things, it's her way, and they end up being more effective. She can kind of make the decisions herself, and I really like the way that Blake Lively handled this part. She's vulnerable, she's strong whenever her character has earned the right to be strong. She doesn't just instantly become this butt kicker. No, she has to earn it. She has to get off the drugs. She has to train. And even then, she's not ready. She has to think before she acts. She has to... and even when things go right, they still kind of go wrong. So I just like the way she handled this role. And she's definitely the best part of the movie. As I mentioned earlier, the movie has this very slow burn. I enjoyed it. I like that it wasn't just the straight generic action flick. Now, granted, in some ways it's a straight generic revenge flick. And really some of the stuff that happens isn't real plausible. Just how... I mean, yeah, they find a way to finance their operation and everything, and it does make sense because it does connect to the bombing. But it's just... She finds the way our character gets around, it's a little too easy. Granted, she's pretending to be someone else, and you'll learn that if you see the movie, who she's pretending to be. But it just, I don't know, she's able to get to point A to point B awful easy. Now when she's doing the missions and stuff, things don't go right all the time, but just getting there and getting away most times, it's everything seemed to come a little too easy at times. Just the beginning and the end. Again, I like the journey though, because again, a lot of bad things happen to our character, and she has to find ways to get out of it. She has to figure out, and just what can she do to survive, and she's just not taking bad guys out left and right. I've heard someone compare this movie to the Jennifer Garner movie Peppermint, and fair enough. I could see how they see that, but honestly, I mean, granted, I know a lot of people hated that movie. I got some enjoyment out of it because I just enjoy watching Jennifer Garner kick people's butts. And that was really my enjoyment. I admit that is not a good movie. This one, actually, I thought the story was decent. I love the character development. I love, again, that the character wasn't invincible. So, see, that's where I don't see the comparisons to Peppermint, because Peppermint, it's like she trains herself and is instantly just this butt kicker, right? Yeah, she takes her licks, but, in the end, she's the dominant one, right? And really, yeah, there's times in this movie where Blake Lively is dominant too, but man, she earns it. So yeah, I enjoy the movie. My problems aside, again, it's you're gonna just get a lot of the feel of a generic revenge flick in this. Just in some ways, this overall story is decent. I wouldn't say it's great. It is a little messy, but again, I think what really kept me in this one was, especially, Blake Lively, especially, and again, a solid performance from Jude Law, and again, Sterling K. Brown was decent. There wasn't a lot of other characters to connect to, so you really had to rely on them. And again, mostly Blake Lively carries this movie, and I thought she did a really good job. I think if the performance would have been weaker, this one wouldn't have worked. You had to have a strong performance in the lead role, and I'm happy that Blake Lively has surprised me the last couple movies I've seen her in, and I want to see her do more of this stuff. I know, like, her early career stuff I wasn't a real big fan of, and I really wasn't a big fan of her, but if she keeps doing these kind of performances, being able to put herself into these characters, I want to see her do more, and I'll be excited to see the next movie that she's in. Again, I don't recommend this to everyone. I don't recommend that you must rush to the theater to see it. But if you like revenge flicks, I think this one would make a very strong rental. That's going to be all for this edition of Talkin Movies. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Geno YouTube channel. Like this video. And you have anything to say about the rhythm section, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I'm your host, the Real Geno, Geno Reynolds. See you later.